This 17 News at Noon podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Good afternoon. I'm Elena Rusk. Bakersfield's Congressman Kevin McCarthy dealt a historic defeat in 2 rounds of voting today to become Speaker of the House. McCarthy has vowed to keep trying to become Speaker as he battles right-flank conservatives who refuse to give the GOP leader their votes. In the first round of today's voting, 19 cast their votes for Representative Andy Biggs or others in protest of McCarthy. Needing 218 votes in the full House, McCarthy got just 203 in both rounds, less even than Democrat Hakeem Jeffries in the GOP-controlled chamber. This Republican showdown now devolving into a prolonged floor fight. 17's Maddie Gannon is at our Washington, D.C. Capitol Bureau with the latest.
Elena, McCarthy has a very thin majority in this new House, and he needs a majority of members present and voting for someone by name to get the gavel. For weeks, 5 conservative members of the House publicly pledged to vote against McCarthy for Speaker, which alone was enough to tank his bid. But in the first vote on the floor today, McCarthy lost well above that. Many of McCarthy's defectors are asking McCarthy to agree to concessions, such as a motion to vacate, where one single rank-and-file member can push a vote to oust the sitting speaker. McCarthy this weekend signaled he was open to lowering the number to 5 members, but opponents appear to be holding steady on requiring only 1. About an hour before the vote today, McCarthy acknowledged today would be a battle.
And I will always fight to put the American people first, not a few individuals that want something for themselves. So we may have a battle on the floor, but the battle is for the conference and the country, and that's fine with me.
This is the first time in 100 years the Speaker's vote has taken more than 1 ballot. In Washington, Maddie Gannon, 17 News.
And of course, be sure to tune in to KGET tonight at 7 for a special presentation of Mr. Speaker, Kevin McCarthy's Path to Power. McCarthy, of course, Bakersfield born and raised, and no one has covered him more than us here at KGET. 17's Alex Fisher is there alongside Maddie Gannon, and they sat down with some of the people who know McCarthy best for a look at his political journey through the years, from his time at Bakersfield High School to his rise to the highest level of Congress. Now to some news from overnight and an early morning officer-involved shooting as Kern County Sheriff's deputies shot and killed a man early this morning in the Kern Desert. Sheriff's officials say it happened just before 2:30 a.m. when deputies from the Ridgecrest substation were called out to Sahara Drive in Ridgecrest to help the Ridgecrest Police Department on a call involving a suicidal man with a firearm. During the investigation, officials say both Ridgecrest Police Department and Kern County Sheriff's Office personnel fired shots at that suspect. Deputies say the man was hit and taken to the hospital, where he later died. Detectives with the Kern County Sheriff's Office have now taken over this investigation. In your 17 homicide tracker, Kern County's homicide rate rose to an all-time high throughout the pandemic, but things have changed for 2022. Using our KGET homicide tracker, 17's Marco Torres shares how things have changed for the better.
Kern throughout the pandemic saw a spike in homicides, but things were different in 2022. In that year, Kern saw 97 confirmed homicides. That's about a 30% drop since Kern's all-time high of 140 in 2020. Even in 2021, that number only slightly dropped. It came down to 136. The 97 homicides in 2022 come very close to Kern's pre-pandemic level. In 2019, 95 homicides were recorded. The 97 homicides in 2022 were lower than the recorded homicides for 2016, 2017, and 2018. Of the 97 homicides in 2022, 73 were shootings, 8 were stabbings, 6 were officer-involved shootings, 7 were classified as other, and 3 are still under investigation. Law enforcement agencies announced they've made arrests for less than half of the 97 homicides in 2022. Updates from these agencies have been slow. Kern's homicides are split across multiple law enforcement agencies. In 2022, the leading agencies with the most homicides were Kern County Sheriff's Office with 47, Bakersfield Police Department with 39, McFarland Police Department with 3, Delano Police Department with 2, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation CDCR with 2, Ridgecrest Police Department with 2, and a few other agencies with 1 homicide each. However, there are still 3 unconfirmed deaths. KCSO, Delano PD, and CDCR each have an unconfirmed case.
Hello, this is Tim Callahan with Clinica Sierra Vista, and we're excited to unveil the Community Health Center of the Future, our comprehensive care center. It's located right across the street from Memorial Hospital. We have every service under one roof, from family medicine, OB/GYN care, dental services for adults and children, behavioral health, and much more. So find your way to better care at Clinica Sierra Vista this year at our comprehensive care center. Visit our website, clinicasierravista.org, for the latest on this project. We'll see you soon.
Well, in 17 business news, airlines continue scrambling to apologize to passengers and correct the rippling effects of holiday flight delays and cancellations. Yesterday, one of the busiest travel days of the season brought mounting delays and cancellations from coast to coast yet again. From fog in Denver to gridlock in Florida after an air traffic control computer failure cut traffic down to a trickle. Monday's delays come after Southwest Airlines' multi-day meltdown stranded hundreds of thousands of travelers last week. Southwest has promised to reimburse families for all related travel expenses, conceding the airline's scheduling system is antiquated. And check this out, the Social Security program set to increase benefits by more than 8% this year. The jump in benefits adjusts for increased costs of living. Now, recipients can expect to see their average benefits increase by about $140 a month. That's the biggest bump in Social Security benefits since 1981. The good news does come with a catch, however, since higher payments can reduce some people's eligibility for low-income safety net programs, and others may have to pay more taxes if they move up in an income bracket. In lighter news, today was SpaceX's first launch of the new year as a Falcon 9 rocket lifted off from Florida's Cape Canaveral Space Force Station just before 10 a.m., carrying 114 satellites into orbit.
3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
All right, so about 2.5 minutes after this, the Falcon 9's 2 stages separated, the first stage returning to Earth. After another 6 minutes, the booster touched down successfully back at Cape Canaveral. Today's flight, called Transporter 6, marked the 15th mission for this particularly Falcon 9 first stage, tying a reusability record that SpaceX just set for themselves a month ago. Now, it was also their 200th flight and the company's 161st successful rocket landing. Let's turn now to sports and the story that everyone is talking about today. Buffalo Bills player Damar Hamlin remaining sedated and in critical condition after suffering a cardiac arrest event and collapsing on the field during last night's game in Cincinnati. NBC's Maggie Vespa has the latest from outside the hospital where he's being treated.
The Buffalo Bills now saying that Damar Hamlin is inside the Cincinnati hospital in critical condition, sedated. All of this, the team says, as a result of cardiac arrest on the field last night. And of course, that terrifying ordeal playing out in the middle of Monday Night Football. We saw players on the field openly weeping and consoling each other. We saw fans in the stands just largely stunned and silent for several minutes on end, only really applauding when Hamlin was taken out of the stadium on a stretcher later in the game. And of course, actually speaking of the game, the NFL, of course, in a rare move, postponing the game entirely. Overnight, the show of support and the just outpouring of love online has been staggering, including from T. Higgins, the Cincinnati Bengals player who collided with Hamlin just before Hamlin collapsed. Higgins tweeting that his thoughts and prayers are with Hamlin and his family. And of course, all of this coming amid a lot of conversations about how every single time these players step on the field, they are taking a dire risk. Back to you.
All right, Maggie Vespa reporting there. In your Health Watch, a new U.S. study is finding reports of young children accidentally eating marijuana-laced treats is rising sharply as pot becomes legal in more places. More than 7,000 confirmed cases of kids younger than age 6 eating pot edibles were reported to the nation's poison control centers over a recent 5-year period. The study published today found nearly a quarter of those children were hospitalized, with some becoming seriously ill. The study's author says parents need to be more vigilant and keep marijuana candies, chocolate, and cookies far out of reach of children. All right, now to weather headlines around the nation. Arkansas hit by a powerful storm on Monday, causing widespread damage and some power outages too. The series of smaller storms left major damage behind in the town of Jesseville as homes and buildings were destroyed by powerful winds, which were thought to be associated with a possible tornado. It sheared off trees, twisted signs, and left at least one high school damaged in Garland County. School officials say all of the students were in attendance and accounted for, saying everyone there is safe. 4 people rescued alive after their car plunged over a cliff along the Pacific Coast Highway called Devil's Slide that's known for fatal wrecks. Officials say a 4-year-old girl, a 9-year-old boy, and 2 adults survived the fall after the Tesla sedan plummeted more than 250 feet from the highway and crashed into a rocky outcropping below. Crews were able to remove all 4 victims from that vehicle. According to police, the 2 children were not hurt. The 2 adults suffered non-life-threatening injuries. A battalion chief for CAL FIRE said crashes along Devil's Slide rarely end with survivors. It's not clear what caused that Tesla to go over the side. And authorities say nobody was hurt when a small plane with 4 people on board made an emergency landing in Southern California yesterday. The Federal Aviation Administration says the single-engine Piper PA-28 landed on Cajon Boulevard, also known as the historic Route 66 in San Bernardino County, shortly before 10 a.m. The CHP saying the plane landed on the shoulder, not in the lanes, and no injuries were reported. And now back to our state's weather. After all that flooding devastation across Northern California, the Oakland Zoo says they'll be closed for at least 2 weeks because an entrance was washed out. Water seen rushing through a gaping hole in the road, estimated to be about 10 feet by 10 feet. The zoo says a culvert under that road collapsed. They blame it on several days of this heavy rain with back-to-back storms. While the zoo is closed to the public, staff says they'll continue to go to the property to care for the animals, confirming they are all safe. The estimated $785 million Mega Millions jackpot, now the 6th largest lottery prize in U.S. history. Nobody has matched all 6 numbers for more than 2 months, allowing that jackpot to continue to grow for 22 drawings so far. A single winner in the next drawing tonight could take the cash payout option of $395 million. In case you're wondering, your odds of winning are 1 in 302.6 million, but you can't win unless you play, right? The drawing is tonight at 8 p.m.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.